Hi there, and welcome to the weekly Asylum and Immigration Reform Update, where I share with you 5 recent stories of interest to asylum seekers and those who want to stay current on immigration news. This week, we're discussing
Donald Trump is newly optimistic that he could end birthright citizenship if we're to end up back in the White House. Texas is planning a controversial project to install floating barriers in the Rio Grande to keep migrants out of the United States. The Biden administration plans to ramp up asylum processing for people who come to the border with appointments scheduled through the CBP One application. There are important updates on how to apply for asylum, including the location to which applications must be mailed, which version of the form to use, and what exactly must be sent. And Republicans in Florida may be realizing that their anti-immigrant law went a little too far and is going to hurt the state.
I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. It's my pleasure to bring you asylum and immigration reform updates each week right here on the Political Asylum Lawyers YouTube channel. Okay, let's get to the news. First up,
could Donald Trump realistically terminate birthright citizenship? During his presidency, Trump expressed his intention to implement an executive order that would prevent automatic U.S. citizenship for children born to unauthorized immigrants in the U.S., an attempt to curb what he termed birth tourism. This order never actually came. Instead, the State Department was instructed to refuse visas to women suspected of traveling to the U.S. predominantly to give birth. However, Trump's advisors believe that were to become president again, he could potentially gain Supreme Court approval for such an order, particularly after the appointment of a new justice to the bench. The majority of legal experts contend that modifications to birthright citizenship would likely necessitate a constitutional amendment, not merely an executive order or legislation. Hence, Trump's capacity to terminate birthright citizenship is doubtful.
And next up, for update number 2.
Texas is trying to get creative in getting tough on immigrants. Texas plans to install floating barriers in the Rio Grande to deter migrants crossing into the U.S., Governor Greg Abbott announced. The barrier, made of large orange buoys joined by a cable and anchored in the riverbed, is intended to start next month near the busy crossing point of Eagle Pass. Abbott didn't disclose the cost, but the signed legislation allows $5.1 billion for border security. The area has been hazardous, with over 200 deaths recorded between 2017 and 2021. Critics warn of the environmental risks and the potential downstream hazard if the barrier gets unmoored. The project surprised the U.S. International Boundary Water Commission, which has opposed such barriers.
All right, time for our third immigration update.
The Biden administration intends to dramatically enhance the processing of asylum seekers at the USMexico border, with a goal of allowing nearly 40,000 migrants each month through a government mobile app, CBP One, effectively doubling the current processing rate. U.S. border officials plan to offer 1,250 daily appointments to migrants in Mexico to enter U.S. ports of entry and seek asylum. The CBP One system, criticized by migrant advocates as potentially marginalizing migrants without smartphones or internet connectivity, has enabled a substantial increase in migrant processing at border entries. Alongside this procedure, the Biden administration has instituted a rule making migrants ineligible for asylum if they unlawfully cross the border without first seeking protection in a third country, except for those entering with a CBP One appointment.
And moving right along, update number 4.
An important update from USCIS on asylum applications has just been released. Asylum seekers need to be aware of 3 changes. First, paper-based applications sent via mail are no longer sent to a service center. Instead, they are to be sent to one of 2 designated lockbox locations. The second update involves the release of a new edition of Form 1589, the Asylum Application Form. The new edition is dated March 1, 2023. From July 31, 2023, only this updated version will be accepted. The third change comes as a relief. Applicants are no longer required to provide a passport-style photo or multiple copies of the asylum application form and accompanying documentation. This eases the previous burden of printing and mailing passport photos and multiple copies of all the documents. But remember, if you're eligible to apply for asylum online rather than by mail, you should definitely do so. Applying online moves the process along faster.
And finally, our 5th immigration update for this week.
Some Republican lawmakers in Florida seem to regret the anti-immigrant law they just passed. The stringent measures against undocumented immigrants have led to significant backlash among immigrant communities and business leaders. In response to the growing discontent and potential economic implications, some lawmakers admit the law might be causing an exodus of workers, negatively affecting the state's economy. Still, others maintain support for the bill, indicating a divide within the Republican ranks. This situation highlights the complex consequences of legislative decisions and their real-world effects. Let's hope this law gets repealed or struck down by a court.
And that wraps up this week's immigration news. If you want to win asylum in the United States, then you should call my office today. That number is 713-352-1593. We help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you are. Call us now to schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can help you to secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your immigration journey.